He's in our world now, and this time, there's no escape from the Mind Flayer. Experience the most terrifying moments of Netflix's Stranger Things Seasons 2 and 3 at the world's premiere Halloween event. It's Universal's Halloween Horror Nights. Select nights September 6th through November 2nd. Save up to $52 on select nights. Visit HalloweenHorrorNights.com. Online only. Restrictions apply. Not recommended for children under 13.
Alright, hello everyone, and welcome to a special horror-themed edition of Damn You Hollywood. I'm Robert Winfree, and joining me, this was supposed to be a three-person table, but Jason Teasley had a scheduling conflict come up. Sucks, he'll be back in the future. But joining me instead is Alexis Hana on her second podcast of the day, her second horror-themed podcast of the day even, as she and Mark spent some time talking about the Banana Splits movie, which is the closest thing to horror we're going to get Mark to see all year. Alexis, how are you doing?
Doing good. And Jason, sorry you had to drop out, man, but we'll see you in, I want to say about a week, or maybe about a week and a half when we review It, Chapter 2.
I just have to say this. It Chapter 2 comes out in about a week or so. And guess what's currently bearing down on the state of Florida?
Another hurricane.
Hurricane Dorian. And I'm just waiting for Mark to message me and say, hey, yeah, I can't do it, because I knew he'd find some way to get out of it, the weasel.
That's how he got out. Yeah, he does have a strange ability to conjure natural disasters whenever there's a good horror movie in theaters.
In fairness, we do it. I think the way we have it timed out for the schedule, it'll be after the hurricanes hit it. Everything should be fine, but I'm just saying. He always seems to find a way, and again, he already did message me and say, yeah, we should still be fine when it's currently scheduled for, but I don't know, I just have to needle him about that. Yeah, he conjured another hurricane, it just arrived a week early.
To all of those, our listeners who are in the South, who are in the path of Hurricane Dorian, I think is what this one's called, please be safe, be careful, stay indoors. We wish you all, I don't want to say good luck, because you don't say good luck before you face a hurricane. That just sounds stupid. So just be safe. And
blame Mark. This is at least partially his fault.
Well, we blame Mark for everything. He's the boss.
A lot, not everything, but a lot of things. Alright, tonight we are discussing the 2019 black comedy horror movie, Ready or Not. I'll let you start with this before we get into the plot synopsis, Alexis, because you're the one who kind of said, hey, I saw the trailer for this looks like a good time. Anybody else willing to get together and talk about it? So what kind of drew you to this from trailer to, you know what, I want to suffer through talking with Robert and, again, in theory, Jason for an hour and a half or so about this movie?
It just looked like a really fun, very different horror film. Not to mention the trailers did not shy away from the fact that this is a black comedy. I mean, come on, you've got a scene in the trailer goes, oh, you shot the maid! I mean, I'm just watching this going, oh dear God, it's Clue if Clue was rated R.
Now I want to see a rated R Clue. Thanks for that.
But no Tim Curry?
No, I want to see the old Clue, but rated R.
I have that on Blu-ray. I love that movie.
It's a lot of fun. I mean, yeah, you can't replace Tim Curry. It can't be done.
Yeah. Not to mention the other problem. If you remake Clue, are you going to do the whole, that's how it should have ended, but here's how it possibly, can you get away with that nowadays in a movie?
You know what you could do, I think, in a contemporary setting? you could have it end. You could do an ending. And then start the credits. And then just given the way people are nowadays, after a couple of seconds, and a little bit into the credits, oh boy, that's certainly an interesting possibility. But what if this happened? And then just throughout the entire run of the credits, you cut to different possible endings until the very last one. It's like, okay, you sat through all this. Here's the actual ending of the movie.
I like that, kind of taking the original Clue ending and mixing it with the trend of post and mid-credit scenes. That's clever.
I get one every now and then. All right. So, ready or not, we open with a bit of what winds up being kind of a flashback to a wedding featuring the Le Domas family, two of the children in particular, Daniel and Alex, who become more important later on. Daniel winds up shoving his brother into a cabinet, locking him in before letting the family know where the groom of this wedding is. They come in, they shoot him with a crossbow a couple of times, and then drag him off behind closed doors to perform some unholy ritual.
The bride is there. She is upset at first, but she seems to be choking back tears with the "I know what is expected of me" look on her face.
Yeah. We flash forward to Alex having now found a woman he wants to marry, or who wants to marry him, in the form of Grace, the totally not Margot Robbie Samara Weaving. I only say that because, boy, is there a facial resemblance between those two.
I have had no less than 3 people, one of them a very close family member of mine, mention that they were 100% convinced that Weaving was Margot Robbie. I'm like, no, that's not Margot Robbie. I'm pretty sure it's all like, no, that is her. It's like, no, that's Hugo Weaving's niece, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, she's going to get a lot of work just being, we can't quite get Margot Robbie, but... And in fairness, based on this performance, she's a certainly capable enough actress.
Just waiting for the movie event where they're, cast as sisters.
Yeah,
you know it's coming. Thing. You know it's coming.
I'd do it. Or, one of them's the evil doppelganger of the other and just sets out to ruin their life.
Could be good.
Anyway, they have the wedding at the family estate. Alex is a bit estranged from the rest of his family, given that he's not entirely down with the whole Satan-worshipping murder that goes on in this family, which is a thing. So they get married, and the inciting event is the family tradition, the night of the wedding, to have the spouse, be that male or female, choose a card from a box that will randomly determine what kind of game they're supposed to play. This is all set up with a bit of backstory about the family and how they came into their fortune. The great-great-grandfather of the current patriarch made a deal with the devil while he was a merchant seaman, and this is part of the deal that was struck, was when someone else comes into the family, we have this game of chance, and if you pull the wrong card, well, you have to die horribly. Ain't life a bitch. And there wouldn't actually be a movie if Grace didn't pull the card in question, in this instance, the hide-and-seek card. Alex is a little bit upset about all of this. Grace is sent off to hide, none the wiser about the events that are about to transpire. The family arms themselves with antique weaponry, turns off the security cameras because that would be cheating, and puts the house into lockdown so she can't actually escape. And they have to find and murder her in a ritualistic fashion before dawn, lest their pact with the devil be broken, at which point bad things would happen. Grace quickly finds out that, no, this is not just a silly game, as one of the entire family that has gathered consists of the current patriarch, whose name I'm forgetting, Tony, played by the wonderfully scene-chewing Henry Czerny. Alex, her now husband, Daniel, his slightly older brother, played by Adam Brody. Their sister, played by Nikki, I'm not going to pronounce that last name. And
no,
Tony's...
that's not the sister. That's the aunt. The sister's Emil.
Oh, that's Helen. Yeah, you are correct. My mistake.
Yeah, I got the Wikipedia. Yeah, Melanie Scrofano is the sister who is probably the most adorable drug addict I've ever seen in a film.
Yeah. Yeah, she and her husband, insufferable and pill poppers. Daniel's wife is just... came from someplace really unhappy and is just really happy to be in the position she is, does not care about ritual murder or signing away your soul to the devil.
Speaking of actresses who look like other actresses, tell me I'm not the only one who thought the one playing Daniel's wife looked an awful lot like Olivia Wilde.
You are not alone in that. She does. There's definitely some similarity there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and Tony's wife, played by Andie MacDowell, who is... When we talk about the craft of this movie, there's so much appropriate levels of hamminess in this film, and I have to credit everyone for it. Yeah, and Tony's sister, Helene, and they all set out. There's also 3 maids and the butler, the gentleman's gentleman.
Oh, and Emily and Fitch's 2 children.
Yes.
Who were supposed to have gone to bed before this, but as families with little children in big houses do, they're not going to stay in their beds for very long.
Yeah, so our coked-up sister winds up shooting one of the maids who's looking for a wayward child in the same room where Alex is kind of hiding Grace, and Grace immediately realizes that, oh, they're trying to kill me. There's a lot of hilarity and drama that ensue. All of the maids wind up dead. In varying degrees of just unhappy situations. One of them gets shot through the mouth and then decapitated. One gets crushed in a dumbwaiter that clearly has no safety precautions in place. Alex tries to disable some of the security features so that Grace can get out. He and Grace plan to leave and just put the entire thing... he doesn't really want anything to do with his family. He's eventually able to unlock the house. The family, now pressed for time, decides screw the traditions. We're going to use the cameras. We're going to use whatever we have at our disposal. Grace winds up injuring herself in some pretty gruesome ways on a couple of occasions, as you want to do in a horror film. Alex's mother tries talking him back into rejoining the family. Aunt Helene believes he's fated to lead the clan, as he's the only one who's actually seen the devil sitting in the place that is set for him at the family table.
Well, that and the older brother is drinking away his feelings.
And look, you can't trust Adam Brody to do anything.
Okay, I gotta ask before we go in any further. Every time I mentioned that I wanted to review this, you said any chance to, make fun of Adam Brody. I'm not saying that anyone who was involved in the OC doesn't deserve to get their ass handed to them, but what is it about wanting to make fun of Adam Brody for you that really got you into this movie?
Mostly the OC.
What's funny is that he's actually, I think, one of the best actors in the film. I mean, he's pretty much drunk throughout the whole thing. But I really do like how he comes across. It's like it's clear he's agreeing to do it, but it's like, oh God, why do I have to put up with this shit? I don't want to do this. Drink.
I will say this: apart from Grace, he has the best character in the movie.
Yeah.
Pretty clearly, he actually has some nuance. I mean, he and Alex are the only ones with arcs. I mean, the big turn comes when Grace winds up beating Andie MacDowell to death with this the devil box. Alex observes this and then kind of realizes, oh, even if you survive this, you're going to leave me. You know what? Screw it. Let's just go through with the sacrifice.
Well, I hate to say it, but I'm also willing to bet that before this, Daniel made one last attempt to get Grace out of the mansion, and his wife who of course ironically is named Charity, comes in and she's like, wait, so you're going to save her and you're going to potentially let me die along with this? Well, screw you, and shoots her husband. I'm willing to bet that as Alex came in after Daniel was already dead, he thought that Grace shot him.
Entirely possible. Yeah, Daniel winds up, in that scene you mentioned, Daniel winds up shot through the neck, and he and Alex had a very good relationship, apparently, apart from him not liking the majority of his family. So they wind up back preparing to ritually sacrifice Grace, but at this point, alas and alack, tempus fugit. The sun has arisen. They throw open the curtains, light is here, and initially nothing happens. And I loved the way this movie played with is there actually a deal with the devil in the kind of like meta sense that this is actually going to come into play in the narrative, or is it just family tradition? Because no one really knows.
Yeah, I love Fitch's reaction because he and Charity are the only actual in-laws, and Fitch has just got this look. It's just like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? It's, oh my God, it's so freaking hilarious.
Yeah, I knew it. I knew it was all BS, and then Aunt Helene decides to implore the place set for the devil. No, we can still make this right. She tries to kill Grace, and then promptly explodes in a bag of blood and guts. Because, yes, they did in fact make a deal with the devil, and there is a clause that should they fail, he gets to annihilate the entire family. So, one by one, the entire family, small children and all, and to be fair, the kids in question are preteens, in that 8 to 12 range, and they're kind of insufferable, so I'll allow it.
And also credit, they explode off screen. We get a scene of Emily taking her kids and running, and you hear a bang, 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 and you hear a splatter of blood. You don't actually... I think it would have been too much to actually see these little children go pop.
I would have been okay with it, but I'm
you're
dead.
You're just an insufferable human being, aren't you?
I'm mostly dead inside.
That's what years of working for this network will do to you.
I can neither confirm nor deny how much of my internal deadness has increased during my tenure here at the Radlichen Broadcasting Network.
Hey, Mark's not on the air tonight. I can say what I want.
Suffice to say, it has not remained static. So anyway, they all blow up. Grace winds up taking off her wedding ring, telling Alex she wants a divorce after Alex implores her that, you make me better, he hasn't taken me yet, we can still, it's still potentially okay. She says she wants a divorce, he explodes, she gets a brief vision of the devil sitting in his chair, he just kind of nods at her like, alright, fine, get out of here. The house is caught on fire at some point, and I'm skipping over some details that we'll get into in a little bit when we talk about some more specific scenes of craft. She goes out and sits on the front porch while the house burns behind her, smokes a cigarette, and when asked by the first responders, what happened to you, ma'am, she just rather drolly replies, in-laws. I don't know what the relationship the two people who wrote this have with their in-laws, but I have to imagine they're all at least once divorced, because there's some deep-seated pain that is being expressed here.
At least some deep-seated pain for the upper class.
I don't want to yell about that because it seems pointless to yell at it in this movie. In another movie, I might yell at the fact that clearly the only way to be successful in the world is to make a deal with the devil. But in this movie, I'll allow. It's that kind of movie. Okay, fine. So, where do you want to start with this? Because there's a lot of fun to be had here. It's also the script, as far as the script goes, this feels less like a fully polished script and more like about the third draft that's gone through revisions. But it's not quite all the way there yet. It's a little bit scattershot. It's not quite as focused as you would like, especially for a movie with a 90-minute runtime. It seems like it touches on a lot of stuff that it never really, even for the type of movie that this is, kind of gets its teeth into and really chews the fat. So, again, where do you want to start? Positives as far as this goes? What sticks with you after you left the theater and has now had about a week or two to think on it?
I like that, again, what you mentioned before. They do keep you guessing on whether or not there's an actual curse. Until we actually see the family go explodey, you have no idea if what they're going through, if this is a real thing, or if great granddad just got, took too many hits of brandy and then started talking. And I really love that. Not to mention the fact that you've got this upper class family, and it's clear that I think they established that they have not killed anyone since that flashback, which we find out is Aunt Helene. It was her husband who was killed. She was the bride who had to watch her husband get stabbed and sacrificed. And yet she has become, I would say, the most fanatically devoted to this cause. She talks about how she had to watch the only man she ever loved, die right in front of her. But she shows, in that flashback, yeah, she looks so upset. She's like, oh God, I can't believe I have to do this, but I know I have to do this. But Elder Helene shows no remorse. She's like, I did it, and I'm okay with it. And again, when she thinks that they can still make the pact, she's the one who grabs, I think it's an axe, and tries to slaughter Grace. But I love that you've got these upper-class twits who have no idea what they're doing with these weapons. You got a scene with the brother-in-law watching a YouTube video on how to handle his crossbow. Yep. You have the drug addict who doesn't know how to aim her gun. There's a great scene with Charity where she's got, I think she's also got a crossbow, and she sees Grace running across the yard. She goes, I got you, and it's building up.
She has a harpoon gun, which is hilarious, by the way. And she has a spear gun.
Spear
and clearly
gun,
has no idea what she's doing with it. None of these people actually know. I think the only ones, and this might actually be referenced, the only ones who actually know what they're doing with their weaponry are like Henry Czerny and Andy McDowell. And even then, it's been a long time for the both of them. All the rest of them, they don't really know what they're doing, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, Charity lines up that harpoon gun. She's like, I got you, and she fires, and it goes soaring over the trees, not even close. And yeah, when Andy McDowell's character, she tries to shoot Grace with a bow and arrow, misses by a mile, and she just stands and she goes, in all fairness, it's been a while.
Yeah, the scene when Charity starts shooting with that old pepper box, and Grace literally, kind of dodges toward her, and she misses every shot. And she's within 5 feet of her. That defies probability. You should have hit the target on accident by that point. And then she just in tears, I don't know what I'm doing. Clearly.
For the record, that was Emily, not Charity.
Emily, yeah. Yeah, Charity might actually have known how to handle a pistol. She says
but not a harpoon gun.
The harpoon gun's a very specific weapon.
I'll take your word for it.
I did appreciate the appropriately sized ammunition for the old elephant gun, even if it was just for display purposes. Because, those are big shells.
I want to see, at the next horror convention, I want to see cosplays of women in bridal gowns with elephant guns and that bandolier of big-ass bullets across. That's wearing the bloody tennis shoes.
I imagine it's going to pop up a lot. There's a surprisingly low body count again up until the very end when everyone kind of goes pop. It's just the maids and then a few others. So, do you have a favorite kill, a favorite sequence or a tense sequence from this movie? Because there's a couple of decent ones.
My favorite kill, and even though part of it was spoiled in the film, is the second maid who gets shot through the mouth with the arrow. Because that was in the red band, but again, it's so freaking hilarious. It's like, I forgot my gun. Here, take my crossbow. Okay, thwomp. Down goes the maid, and then you got Helene trying to essentially, rouse the troops with this poor maid who's not dead yet, gurgling in blood on the ground, and Helene just finally gets annoyed and thwacks her head off with an axe. It's so over the top, but I love it. It's very Looney Tunes-esque in a way, if you think about it.
Yeah, there's a dark Looney Tunes element to a lot of this movie.
I think the most tense moment for me, though, is the scene with the son. Is it George or Georgie?
When they're in the goat pens.
Yeah. By the way,
Georgie.
nice symbolism. Yeah, nice symbolism. Devil worshippers have a goat pen.
Well, in all fairness, Alex does mention specifically, Mom, maybe I just had enough with the chanting and the goat sacrifice. So they do actually use them.
Well, you get this great scene with Grace hiding in the goat barn, whatever the hell it's called. I'm not a farmer. And Georgie has gotten out of bed again, as preteen children do in a big house. My grandmother had a big house, and me and my cousins, when we were that age, we go wandering around the house late at night all the time. And Grace is trying to get him on her side because, she's thinking, oh, this child is innocent. He doesn't know what's going on. She's like, George, I need your help. And George has taken his mother's gun that she forgot, and he shoots Grace in the hand. And she got a giant hole in her hand. And it's just at the moment I was like, holy shit, this movie's like not going to take it easy on us.
I like that she responds by getting pissed and punching him in the face.
Wouldn't you?
Look, I frequently have to resist the compulsion to hit children.
I should have known you were going to say that.
I mean, look, I've never actually hit a kid. But, oh, God, there's just so many times that just... You get when they act up or when they won't listen, you're just like, I really do kind of wish I could just kind of smack you on the back of the head. Like, what? Pay attention. If a kid ever shot me in the hand, yeah, it's gonna be at least one solid punch to the face.
See, I actually used to do an art camp for kids. I never wanted to punch the kids. I wanted to punch those kids' parents. Because so often those kids would be acting up, and I would pull the parents aside when they came to pick up their kids, and I'd go, hey, I need to tell you, your child was misbehaving, your child did this, your child drew guns on the tribal masks that we were making. That actually happened.
Yeah.
And the parents are like, oh, yeah, he saw that on TV. Yeah, he acts like that. Yeah, isn't it funny? I'm like, no. Yeah,
and in all fairness to poor Georgie, like, if Emily and Fitch were your parents, you'd have no hope either.
Yeah, you do find out later that I'm pretty sure that if George survived this, that kid was going to become a serial killer. We actually get to the final scene where they're just about to kill Grace, and Emily has brought her two boys downstairs to watch. I don't know why, but she has. And as they're chanting, George actually, his eyes are wide open. He's got this not malicious grin, but this almost curious smile as he's doing the satanic chant.
Yeah, like, he's way too into the notion of excuse to kill someone. Howdy do.
Yeah, this kid's got a look on his face like a little boy attending his first Major League Baseball game. It's so adorably creepy. And yeah, Grace gets I am glad they did not shy away from bloodying Grace up. She gets shot in the hand and then gets that...
Oh gosh, she falls into that corpse pit.
Yeah, we find out that there is a huge pit of corpses in the goat herd. Smart idea. The smell of the goats would probably overwhelm the smell of the corpses.
I can't be the only one who had a flashback to... there's a Simpsons episode where... they wind up tracking down a dead body from the Springfield Reservoir, and they wind up, as they trace back the route this body had taken to get to where it got, they wind up in Mr. Burns' office, and they pop up, and he's there, and he goes, what are you doing in my corpse hatch?
I've never seen that episode.
It's a good one. Chief Wiggum is with them at that point. He pops up and goes, Montgomery Burns, you're under arrest. Burns immediately goes to, oh, did I say corpse hatch? I meant innocence tube. Saying, oh, of course you have a corpse hatch. Yeah, I was a little bit worried as that movie was progressing that, the hero has to be in danger at some point, and like real peril if you're really going to kind of sell me on the narrative. So when she does get shot, when she falls into this horrible pit with moldering bodies and has to climb out in some really unhappy ways.
She gets her back. She gets her back, like sliced up when she tries to get out through the iron gates.
Yeah, that's as someone who's sliced his back in a similar fashion, not to that degree, but similar. Yeah, that ow.
Mm-hmm. Of course, we get a scene with she gets in a car accident. We have the scene with the butler, who likes to pretend to conduct classical music just a little too much, and she takes him out, and they get into an accident, so she gets further damage there. And then in the end, she is stabbed, not through the heart, but through the shoulder, because she managed to wriggle away just in time.
Somehow she survives the car accident despite not having a seatbelt, while the poor butler, not so much.
Yeah, and she's bound and gagged.
Yeah. On the plus side, that one scene does actually lead to one of my favorite moments from Daniel. Like they've wrecked the car, she staggers out, and he's just kind of standing there going, I came out here to get away from all that, and you just had to wreck a car in the middle of my tranquility.
Yes, I love that. And again, Daniel is probably one of the best characters in this film. He gives a real level of insight. It's clear that he is not willing to give up his family's money. He's too accustomed to it. But he really doesn't like it. There's a great scene of him and his sister dumping the poor maid's bodies into the corpse pit on top of Grace, who's still down there and is now being showered with maid parts.
No, she was out of there by that point.
Oh, she wasn't? I could have sworn she was still in there.
No, that would have been a good way to go, but no, she was out.
Oh, okay. I could have sworn she was still there. My bad. And yeah, Daniel and Emil are talking. They're throwing in the maids, and Daniel's like, maybe we do deserve to die for all this. It's just clear he doesn't like it, but he doesn't have the cojones to do anything about it.
Yeah, and I did like that scene after he poisons the ritualistic chalice they're all drinking from. And yeah, as he's bringing Grace out, like, oh, did you just kill them? No, I just gave them a little nip. They'll... I looked it up on you. I Googled it. Nah, they'll be fine. It'll be uncomfortable, but they'll be all right. He actually does say, I always knew someone was going to burn it down. I really never thought it was going to be me.
And we get a great scene where Grace, gets out of one of the corridors. We find out that this old house has a lot of hidden passages and whatnot throughout it, as the creepy old mansions do. And she walks right into Daniel, who's at a bar, and he just looks at her, and he doesn't even react at first. He goes, I'm getting a drink.
Yep.
And she's just like, and it's clear that she's also has a good relationship with him. Not great, but you get the feeling that you mentioned Alex and Daniel are pretty close, and you get the feeling that she's gotten to know him a little bit, and she's like, okay, we're not friends, but I'm marrying your brother, and you love your brother, and we have a common bond that we both love Alex. So you do sense a strength between them. But again, Daniel won't. Daniel just starts to get drunk, and he goes, "I'll give you 10 seconds."
And then charitably gives her more than that.
Well, with the editing, it may have been hard to tell.
Daniel also has the only real gun. He and Tony have the only appropriate firearms for the situation, and he never even comes close to shooting it. There's, again, one of the things about this movie that I found a little bit frustrating, and under different circumstances it might have actively detracted from it for me, but this movie touches on a lot of things, but again, doesn't really kind of dig into any of them. There's Alex's relationship with his family that is touched on, but again, not really expounded on beyond, I got fed up with chanting and killing goats and just realized this wasn't normal, but I wouldn't stop doing it unless I actually left. And his mother, who just wants her son to be back with the family, and again, credit to Andy McDowell, who's got a great bit of... She walks this really fine line between sincerity and sincerely insincere quite well, depending on the scene that is required.
I get the feeling she seems really earnest when she's talking to Grace before the wedding, and she does look disturbedly upset when Grace pulls the hide and seek. I get the feeling that she really didn't want Grace to be the one to die.
No, I think when she says, I really do like Grace. I think she's being honest. I also think she views Grace as, again, the mechanism to get Alex back to being actually part of the family. And she does know that, if we have to kill her, he's done. Like, we're never really gonna... I'm going to lose my son if this happens. And then, lo and behold, it does. So, Henry Czerny has a lot of scene chewery as... it's kind of sad. I think they could have done more with his character because he gets some great lines. Like, he looks at the portrait of one of his, great-grandfather and goes, "You couldn't have negotiated a little bit better, Vic? Maybe got Mr. LaBelle out of the family annihilation clause?" And, okay, fair enough.
And again, there are some great scenes with him with the other characters. I love the scene where he's giving the rules to Grace before she knows what's going on. And she's just thinking it's all a game. And he's playing it so well. He lets nothing on. She points out the security cameras and goes, "Oh, no, we're going to turn those off. Just got to stay hidden until dawn. And hey, good luck." And I love he does not even hint about what's about to happen.
Doesn't bat an eye. Even when they pull the cards, and again, if you're good at reading the room, you can see Alex and you can see Andy McDowell and even Daniel react to that, and him not so much. He kind of goes blank, like, "Oh, that's the one you pulled. Okay, here's what we're doing next." It really is a lot of... there's a lot of fun from, again, pretty much everyone. Even, you mentioned Emily being, an adorable drug addict, which is a really hard thing to pull off, but she does.
I love it. She's like, "Get yourself together. You're going to get together." Snort. I've never seen a drug addict played like that before.
No, that's a new one. The closest thing I can reckon to it off the top of my head is Tony Montana near the end of Scarface when he just drops his face into that mountain of cocaine on his desk and takes a hit.
And again, even just some of the relationship with the other family members. How about that scene when we find out that Fitch and Emily, I guess it's Emily, missed the wedding because they missed their flight. And you get this great line.
We couldn't get a regular charter, and I just can't go back to flying commercial. Like, you fat fuck.
And yeah, they walk in and they meet Grace, and they seem so kind of first. And then they turn to Aunt Helene, and what's the line is like, "Brown-haired niece, you continue to exist. You continue to exist."
I laughed so hard in the theater.
Now, I gotta ask, what was the reaction to the theater when Aunt Helene finally went pop? Was there just a ton
of people? There weren't a lot of people in there when I saw it. I go as early as I can on a Tuesday. There was a little bit of surprise that, because again, they're still doing a little bit of the is there, isn't there thing, and it's a great fake out. Because they get to the end and everyone else, and the in-laws, so Fitch and Charity, they kind of go, "I knew it was BS. Okay, now what are we going to do with her? Because even if there's no pact with the devil, there's still a problem." I loved the fake out. I was perfectly okay with there being the deal with, especially the way they set it up, because at this point they're either just going for the bad ending of Grace is not getting out of here, or supernatural forces intervene. And I'm okay with either ending, in all honesty. And so she goes pop, and everyone goes, "Oh, wish there was more gore," but I like the pop.
More gore. Grace walks out of that thing completely covered in her in-laws' blood.
Yeah, I'm just saying, some intestines around the neck. Maybe she gets smacked with a liver that goes flying by. There's other things you can do, but on the budget they had, I understand.
See, I prefer that they just went pop, because I like to think of it more, they didn't just go pop. They were like freaking atomized. They're literally nothing but goo. Still there?
Sorry, muted my mic for a sec.
Oh, I was so worried that I had just disconnected from the podcast.
No, you're fine. No, I just said,
like, what did I do wrong this time?
it does kind of. I would kind of like to see a slightly more, like, again, dark horror edit of the end of Infinity War, where all the people who get snapped go pop like this instead of fade away.
You sadistic bastard!
I'm just saying, it's again, you do have to play it like this, where it's very clearly there's a bit of the old like the Sam Raimi style splat stick in play. But I mean, I would like reshoot the entirety of like Tony and Spider-Man, where Peter's holding on to him and Tony's like, nope, you're gonna blow up. Not on the suit.
Listeners, I'm sorry for Mr. Winfree. He's an idiot.
Come on, it's funny.
No, it's not.
I'd laugh. But
really
again, I like this. I have a dark sense of humor, so this movie, played into that a lot.
Gee, you think?
All right. Anything else on the craft side of things that you wanted to touch on, good, bad, or otherwise?
Well, it's been said before by a lot of the reviews, but it is worth pointing out. This is blood and gore side. This is a beautiful movie. It's shot very well. It's pretty much shot entirely in this gigantic mansion. You get a lot of really great shots of them running around the rooms. The mansion itself is remarkably beautiful. And the movie itself is very lovely to look at. The lighting is good. The cinematography is great. There's no shaky cam in the tight corners. Everything is clear, crisp, and easy to make out what's going on. Even when you got scenes of Grace when she gets out and she's running through the woods, even though you get what is clearly a very poorly lit hallway or whatever, it's still very easy to see what's going on. And I really like movies that can have a good sense of where they are and how they're going to make it work like that.
Yeah, something that is visually readable is sadly a bit of a rarity these days when it comes to movies.
I've seen way too many movies that are shot on low budgets in one location in a house, and it's clear, it's like, okay, we don't want a lot of light because we want this to look very dark and everything. It's like, yeah, that's great, but you're either going to end up not seeing what's going on or everything's going to look grainy as hell. Take your pick. These guys clearly know their thing about cinematography, and I was very impressed.
Yeah, the cinematographer for this, Brett, I'm going to butcher your last name, sir. I apologize. I'm going to assume this is Polish. So, Udwetchik did a really good job. Yeah, it does. It all looks good. I've been in several houses. Never anything that lavish, but similar. I've been in places like that. I've been around them, and that is definitely what they look like. So a lot of credit there. If you're interested in I think this is the kind of movie that if you see the trailer and think, I might like that, you will, and you should definitely go see it.
And again, it's a black comedy. There's a lot of really funny moments, but it's funny moments laughing at people's pain and suffering. Again, there's a scene with a maid choking on her own blood, and the great aunt is just sitting there going, oh, dear God, will you shut up? Stop.
Look, you're going to die. Can you stop interrupting my monologue? And in fairness, Aunt Helene is definitely the kind of person who would think in exactly those terms.
Aunt Helene was creepy as hell. We get this early scene of Grace getting her picture taken by way too many photographers with professional lighting. Seriously, I actually used to work as a wedding photographer. When I saw those flashes and light reflectors put up, I'm like, my God, have you people never heard of natural light? And Grace is looking around while she's getting the picture taken, and the maids are staring at her, and she looks at Helene, who is giving her the death glare of all death glares. That's the kind of look that your ex gives your new significant other when you put the ring on them. That was just spiteful as hell.
Yeah, that was a heck of a look. Excellent job casting on that part.
Yeah.
And last thing I think I wanted to praise, they do a good job of everyone in the family, all the relationships that they have with each other do feel very organic in the sense that there's not a lot of exposition given, but there's a lot that is told through either quick dialogue or just the way they interact, the looks they... I mean, when Andy McDowell looks at Fitch and goes, "You know I never liked you, right?" That is very much it does very much feel like a deeply dysfunctional blue blood family that, made a deal with the devil. So kudos to that. Alright, if that's it for that, let's go ahead and jump into the money. Ready or Not only has a budget of $6 million, so credit to everyone involved for doing a lot with a low budget.
Well, did they actually find a manor or a castle or something to film in? Because I'm having trouble believing that on $6 million that was just a set.
Yeah, I imagine they found... that is a really hard thing for me to imagine that...
Here, I'll look up filming locations on IMDb. Let me see what I can find. You can see it.
It was a 26-day shoot. It took place on locations in Toronto. So a few different places, but... Yeah, I imagine they just found... they had, again, for all the externals are one, they had an internal one, and then a few of the, woods and whatnot. This was, again, $6 million is a small budget, and they did it in less than a month for just photography. You know what? Again, credit to everybody involved.
Credit also to Samara Weaving. I still can't believe that actress is Australian.
Well, why not?
Her American accent is perfect.
Yeah, she has a really good American accent, that's true. And she does a few, little idiosyncratic things, like that little snort she does when she laughs.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot that goes into that, so good on her. Yeah, her American accent is actually better than Margot Robbie's if Margot Robbie isn't deliberately copying someone else. Hey, I'll stand by that.
Snorted.
Anyway, it's pulled in $13 million, so we have reached profitability for the movie, and again, good on everybody. I now get to anticipate a crappy sequel in a year or two. Because that's the way these things go. As far as the weekend, this would be August 23rd through 25th. Our new number one debuting in the role was Angel Has Fallen, the third part of the Fallen trilogy starring Gerard Butler.
That's the film that Mark insisted on seeing instead of this.
I would see Angel Has Fallen. I've seen all of them. Don't get me wrong. I saw London Has Fallen to review it. I enjoyed a lot, significant parts of it. Parts of it just too stupid. There's only so much weaponry you're going to sneak into London. London is one of the most heavily surveilled cities on Earth. So, sneaking in all the rocket launchers, not so much.
I'll take your word for it. I actually haven't seen any of the movies.
Do you like Die Hard?
Watch it every Christmas.
Well, that's the best Christmas movie ever.
Duh. No, that's tradition. My husband and I watch I was just reading another review. We watch Die Hard and we watch Krampus.
My family's tends to be Die Hard and then A Christmas Story.
Christmas Story airs on TV all Christmas Day. Chances are pretty good that wherever I go for Christmas morning presents, someone's going to have it on in the background.
My point being, if you like Die Hard, watch Olympus Has Fallen, the first one, because that's the best Die Hard style movie of the last 20 years.
All right.
Again, London Has Fallen gets a little bit silly. I haven't seen Angel Has Fallen yet. I will probably see it when it comes to Netflix or something. But yeah, Olympus Has Fallen is just basically Gerard Butler as John McClane as a Secret Service agent trying to save the president instead of his wife. in the
Well, at
White
least
House
he's not.
instead of Nakatomi Tower.
Well, at least he's not singing this time.
His singing's not that bad. I have
Very
heard much worse.
Yeah, I've heard Russell Crowe.
Yeah. Look, the
I've
less
heard
said about
Pierce
Russell Crowe
Brosnan.
in Les Mis, the better.
Yeah, sorry. I've heard Pierce Brosnan. Okay, I haven't sat through Mamma Mia, but someone actually played his duet with Meryl Streep, and I was sitting there going, oh no, who thought this was a good idea?
Look, I love Pierce Brosnan. Doesn't mean the man can sing. Look, there are some people who are good actors and who look good, and Pierce is both of those. He can't sing.
No, he can't.
Still probably about the third best James Bond, but that's a different discussion. Anyway,
First two, Connery and Craig, right?
Yeah, in whatever order you wish to place those two. I think that's largely down to personal preference.
Well, at least we're in agreement that those two are the top.
I mean, again, let me put it this way with Pierce. I think Pierce Brosnan would have been the best James Bond if he had had better movies to work with.
You sat through Die Another Day, didn't you?
I sat through all of them, okay? Let's just... Look, I had to put up with Halle Berry, all right?
Oh, sorry, just you sat the resignation in your voice when you said that. You're just like, oh, God damn it.
I have seen all of them. I mean, I said this when there's a podcast I used to host that is now, I believe we've migrated it over to Patreon. So if you're interested in Everyone Loves a Bad Guy, you can pledge $1 to support the Radulich Broadcasting Network monthly, and you'll gain access to a bunch of our previous stuff, including that. I did I think a 3-part series talking about James Bond villains. And, Pierce Brosnan was a point of delineation for me. I did like everything up until Brosnan in one episode, then Brosnan, and then Craig. Because it seemed like a fair enough point to delineate between, okay, everything that came before Pierce Brosnan, because there were several Bonds, a couple of them good. Again, Connery, Moore brought something. Pat and I actually talked about Timothy Dalton and what he brought to the role, such as it was. And then, again, moved on to Brosnan, because I distinctly remember when they announced a new James Bond movie. I was a small child at the time, but I remember this, the hype that was around who will be James Bond. So again, I think if Brosnan had better material to work with, he could have been maybe the best, but yeah, third at the moment. Anyway, coming in at falling from number 1 to number 2 was the R-rated comedy Good Boys. I don't know who saw that, but I hope you enjoyed yourselves. Debuting at number 3 is Overcomer. I have no idea what this is.
I've never even heard of that.
What in the world is this? I now have to know.
Yeah, actually, you got me curious, too.
Hang on. 2019. Yeah, I got nothing. It's a faith-based drama, okay.
Oh, no wonder.
I hadn't even seen a trailer for this one. There's a few of the other, very faith-based movies that I've seen trailers for. I have not seen anything about that one.
I think I may have seen a trailer for it, but spoiler alert, I'm a deist, and faith-based movies really don't do anything for me.
Hey, look, I'm a practicing LDS guy, and I don't care for most Christian movies.
Well, you live in Utah, don't you?
I do.
Well, of course you're LDS.
Hey, I have lived in plenty of other places besides Utah.
Sorry, we have a running joke with Honeysuckle Rose Creations. We did a show out in Salt Lake City a few years ago, and we were trying to figure out why it was a 3-day show, but they moved it to Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and so we realized, oh, of course, it's Salt Lake, that's why. Spoiler alert, regardless of how great a city Salt Lake is, nobody goes to a convention on Thursdays.
Salt Lake's also not a very great city.
I wasn't going to insult your town. You want to insult it? Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't live in Salt Lake for a very good reason.
Okay, fair enough.
anyway, Hobbs and Shaw fell from number 2 to number 4. Very briefly, Hobbs and Shaw has now hit, because I need to talk about this very briefly because we haven't had a chance to yet, and Mark will be mad if we don't. Hobbs and Shaw now on a budget of $200 million, which is only. I think that I saw that if you factored in, advertising and all the print stuff they did, the budget was closer to $300 and change.
I was gonna say, how much of that was Dwayne Johnson's salary?
I don't know. It's interesting. He was Forbes' highest paid actor again, but he gets that distinction not because he makes the most per movie, but because he makes so much content. But they have now opened in all the major areas, including South Korea and China, and they have now hit a grand total worldwide of $616 million, which is maybe barely on the profitable side. This needed to be a billion-dollar property, and it's not going to hit that. The Lion King fell from number 3 to number 5. Ready or Not debuted at number 6. And again, is already profitable, so good for that. The Angry Birds Movie 2 fell from 4 to 7. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark fell from 5 to 8. Dora and the Lost City of Gold fell from 6 to 9. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood fell from 8 to 10. 47 Meters Down Uncaged fell from 7 to 11. Well, some of those are actually pretty decent numbers in terms of, they dropped, but they didn't drop by massive percentages.
No, a lot of people are going to the movies this summer. This is a very good summer for movie companies.
Yeah, rounding out the top 20, the Peanut Butter Falcon actually rose from 20 to 12. I imagine it opened in more areas. The Art of Racing in the Rain, boy, that cratered. Well, cratered is a strong word, but it dropped from 9 to 13. Blinded by the Light, 10 to 14. Spider-Man Far From Home, 12 to 15. Go enjoy the last vestiges of good Spider-Man movies while you can, people, because they're going bye-bye.
We already talked about this on a Patreon exclusive review. Plug. Don't make me cry.
Look, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to predict this. Spider-Man is going to show up in Venom 2 and he's going to die. And they're going to use that as a backdoor pilot to introduce Spider-Gwen, because reasons.
Actually, someone else pointed out an interesting loophole. The contract which says that even though Disney and Marvel cannot make any more Spider-Man movies, they still have all the rights they want for Spider-Man TV shows. That's why we're getting a kid-friendly Spider-Man movie coming to Disney. I think it's coming to Disney Plus. I could be wrong. So someone said, okay, fine. Put all your budget into a TV movie and release it on Disney Plus. We're not going to complain.
That's fair. Where'd You Go, Bernadette dropped from 11 to 16. Toy Story 4, 14 to 17. The Farewell, 15 to 18. Mission Magno, I don't know what that is at all, 16 to 19. And Yesterday fell from 18 to 20. For the record, The Kitchen dropped from 13 to 21, and I have to bring that up just to laugh at Mark for having to see the movie. Mark didn't want to see a scary movie, a PG-13 scary movie. Instead, he suffered through Elizabeth Moss, Melissa McCarthy, and Tiffany Haddish. Did not work out well for Mark.
Listen to Mark suffer, and who else was on the show with him?
Source material. He and Jesse did a compare and contrast with the original graphic novel of The Kitchen as well as the movie.
Yeah, listen to him and Jesse whine about how horrible it is over on our website. Plug.
All right, I think that's it for the money. So You said this thing's largely been positively reviewed, so I'm curious what kind of morons you've been able to dredge up.
I found a couple. Again, this is mostly positive. Currently, right now on Rotten Tomatoes, this is the highest rating top box office at 87%. Second by Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, then Dora and the Lost City of Gold, and then Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark and Good Boys are both tied at 79%. So let's see here. Again, there was only a few negative ones that I found. And
they don't have to be negative, they just have to be stupid.
Okay. Vincent Mancini from Film Drunk says, a brilliant concept for satirizing the poison pill of dynastic wealth, though the kitschy, quote, honest to blog tone holds it back.
Wow. You gonna crib any more Karl Marx there for your review? Because
seriously,
I smell plagiarism.
Well, honest to blog is a line from Juno.
I haven't seen Juno, actually.
I remember that. That was one of, oh God, who's the woman who wrote that, who won the Oscar? I can't think of her name.
Diablo Cody.
Yeah, that was one of her first contributions. But no one's really used it since. It's not a term I've heard that much.
Yeah, again, this is the kind of guy who would rather see a deeply serious look at, oh boy, no one should have this much money. Like, buddy, if you had got a check for that much money, you would cash it, and you know it. So, let's spare me your soapboxing, all right? Just spare me.
Yeah, no, I just don't get the whole honest to blog thing about it. It's like, what about this movie seems, quote, honest to blog?
What's that again? Like you say that's a line from Juno. What does Juno use it in reference to?
It's a reference to one of the openings, part of the opening scene when Juno calls her best friend to let her know she's pregnant, and her friend goes, "Really? Honest to blog?" As in, like, honest to God, but honest to blog. So.
Yeah. Okay. How is that in any way then developed into a movie tone?
Yeah, exactly. I don't get.
This guy's an idiot.
Okay, James Veneer from Boston Herald. Is this a spoof? The dialogue sounds like it was poorly translated from another language.
Buddy, you have no. You see, my friend, I occasionally indulge myself with various anime-related properties. I know from bad translation, okay? I have suffered greatly in some respects. This, not even close. Moreover, is this a spoof? It's a black comedy, man. Yeah, there's a little bit of that. How did you not, at what point do you not realize the genre the movie is trying to place itself in? Because, I mean, do you not look up and know the sky's blue? I do not understand that bit of criticism.
Yeah, again, we were talking earlier. We thought this was a pretty decent script. The dialogue was good, and it felt genuine.
Yeah, if the script issues have to deal more with, like, again, pacing and dialing in subject matter, like, it reaches too far across areas rather than is just, bad from a purely spoken word perspective.
I keep thinking, is he referring to that whole scene about brown-haired niece, you continue to exist? Because, yeah, frankly, if I had just seen that line a la carte, I'd assume it was from a badly translated anime, but no, that was a genuine I hate you line.
Yeah, that's just that character and her expression of disgust at this other human being.
All right. Michael Smith from Tulsa World. So beyond not developing its characters or being original, Ready or Not is never scary. It's never smart. It's never good.
Okay, what part of the comedy half of this equation did you miss, buddy? Moreover, as far as scary, I mean, again, there's a comedy element that's inherent to this, but there's also still some kind of genuinely tense moments. I mean, that bit where she's, like, hiding around in the kitchen island from the butler. Again, we're not talking anything revolutionary, but it's a solidly shot and constructed sequence.
Yeah, she's trying to put the bullet in the elephant gun while he's listening to music, and she's trying to time it so that it peaks with the sound. And she has to pause every time because he hears it. this is a very smart butler, and he knows that there's someone. So she, pops it in. He pauses, and he's listening around for what it is, and she knows she can't even breathe heavily while he's, listening for that.
As far as never good, I completely disagree with that sentiment. I've seen plenty of bad movies, and again, this is not intended to be Oscar-quality filmmaking. It's just intended to be a solid black comedy horror movie, and that's all. And that's what it is. It's not badly constructed. It's just not. I don't know. It does not seek to elevate anything, I suppose. Which, if you're that kind of pretentious, maybe. Sadly, you're also writing for a very small publication if you're writing for something in Tulsa. I do kind of question whether or not how long you can continue collecting a paycheck being that pretentious talking to people in Oklahoma.
Now, about the whole not being original thing, I did notice at least 3 negative reviews here that say that this movie is trying to be like Get Out.
No.
Yeah, now I guess you can draw comparisons that Grace, who we established does not come from money. I think we've missed a part earlier. She mentioned she bounced around in foster homes. She has never had a true family. She clearly does not come from money. So I guess you compare it's like the poor girl marrying into the crazy ass rich to the black guy dating the white family. But that is literally where you drop the comparisons.
Yeah, Get Out is meant to be a more serious meditation on the issues at hand. This is not. There's nothing serious about this movie in that respect.
But anyways, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that's even people comparing this to Get Out. Like, again, apart from the most basic surface level, oh hey, there's a loose similarity here. No, there's nothing else there.
Yeah, like I said, we got 3 reviews here that reference it. One is from Frank, Switek, from a website called One Guy's Opinion. It says this.
What do you bet he's self-employed? He is the guy.
You think? This may satisfy viewers wanting a tongue-in-cheek gore fest with a smidgen of social commentary, but it lacks the edge and subtlety of Get Out, its obvious model.
Okay. I maintain this movie is not that gory. I mean, again, don't get me wrong, there's a couple of scenes. But out of the entire, 96-minute runtime, not all that gory, quite frankly.
Until the rich family goes kablooey.
I mean, again, there's scenes. Again, she gets dumped into a corpse pit. They throw decapitated maids' bodies down into said corpse pit, and then everyone pops like overinflated water balloons. It does exist. But I've also sat through a lot of actual gore-fest movies, and this does not rise to that standard. More importantly, of all the genuine praise you could give to Get Out, subtle is not one of them.
No.
That's not a subtle movie. So, again, even in that sort of comparison, you're deeply inaccurate.
All right, Rick Kazanak from 7 Days. I can't say that without wanting to do the 7 days from The Ring. Yep. It sticks with you. The film's fatal flaw is that its creators clearly wanted to duplicate the formula behind the game-changing success of Get Out, but lacked adequate imagination.
Again, no. If you think the formula for success in Get Out involved somewhat outsider marrying into money and the family has a dark secret, I got news for all you people who think Get Out was all that original. It's not, if that's the comparison you're making.
Did I hear a cat in the background?
Yes, that is one of the cats the cat in my house. He is large, he is orange, and he is loud on occasion.
Eddie, you're being usurped. For God's sakes, it's your name on the bingo card, not the cat. He's asleep.
No, he's unhappy because the brother that he takes ownership over is not home, and that means he can't go in and out of certain rooms at his leisure.
Seriously, Eddie, the one time you actually should bark, and you're just lazy. He's just laying there on the ground.
You yelled at me too much, Mom. Not barking now.
I perform when I want to perform. Okay,
I am
and
not
Roger...
your dancing monkey. I am a corgi. If you want a dancing monkey, get a dancing monkey.
You're a dancing corgi. Yeah, he would. Okay, Roger Moore from Movie Nation. A Get Out that doesn't get it. A Purge that pulls its punches.
Whoa. What does this have to do with The Purge?
I have absolutely no idea.
Did you just... Okay, that feels like you just Googled a couple of horror movies to throw in there.
Yeah, it's like the alliteration doesn't work if you're pulling a subject that doesn't fit in.
I mean, again, I can loosely understand the surface-level comparison to Get Out, inaccurate as it may be, to anyone with a functional brain. But what about this has to do with The Purge, man? Unless you're putting forth the hypothesis that we should just take to the streets and kill rich people instead of poor people. Otherwise, there is no comparison at all. And you're just lazily trying to remember a horror movie that you could make a comparison to, instead of actually, watching horror movies and coming up with a good one. Shame on you, sir.
And your cat agrees.
Yes, he is kind of a dick, but seriously, this cat will run up to a door, ask you to open it, and as soon as you open it, turn around and walk away.
Sounds familiar.
I am shaming you publicly on the internet, cat. Deal with it.
Sorry, you guys make fun of Eddie all the time. This is like, ooh, shoes on the other foot.
No, look, you can mock this cat all you want. His name is Cheese.
Cheese?
He was one of a pair of brothers who were both orange, and the family that had the mother cat let the children name them, and they're orange cats, so Mac and Cheese.
At least it's not cheese and crackers.
Fair enough.
Sorry, you want to run out of your house after a cat after he bolts out the front door going, Cracker, get back here!
Well, this has led to us occasionally finding out how to say cheese in different languages to insult him.
Okay, the two more here. Michael O'Sullivan for the Washington Post. A style of acting would, at a sporting event, merely be called shouting.
Okay, hold on. You're telling me that people in a stressful situation don't raise their voices? You must have grown up in a happy home, man. That's all I can say.
Or a drugged home. Take your pick.
Fair enough. I mean, there's so much time when there's not... I don't think Adam Brody raises his voice at all in this movie.
Except for the part where he does yell, she's in here, after he gives her the 10-second start. And
yeah,
even then, he's yelling it mostly into a glass of whiskey.
Yeah, that's the only time that character yells. I don't think Andie MacDowell yells at all. Even when she gets annoyed, she doesn't get loud. Yeah, that's really not a fair criticism. It's not accurate.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest yellers are, well, you get Grace, who yells a decent amount, but in all fairness, she's running for her life.
And, impales her already open wound on a nail to try and gain leverage to heave herself out of a pit full of rotting corpses, so.
And then tries to get the attention of a passing car when she manages to get out the iron gate, like eviscerating her back, and the jackass keeps driving. She's like, fucking rich people!
I love her tirade at him, because she goes, like, that's not quite as good as, like, Chevy Chase in Christmas Vacation, but it's pretty close. I mean, I don't think anything ever tops that, or, Arlie, or R. Lee Emery's introductory scene in Full Metal Jacket, but as far as, like, the list of greatest movie insults, her litany of profanity at that guy just driving away from a woman in distress, that ranks pretty high.
You need to go watch a movie called Wag the Dog. Anne Hesh just lets out this amazing tirade of insults against Dustin Hoffman's character.
I don't know. I'm deeply opposed to the existence of Anne Heche at this point. But I haven't seen Wag the Dog, actually. I need to.
It's really good. This may sound weird, but I think it's one of Robert De Niro's best films because he plays a very different character in it. He's a Washington D.C. spin doctor. And
that was a '90s movie. Like, everything De Niro did up until about 2000 is pretty solid. Then, for some reason, if I had to pinpoint the moment De Niro's career turned south, Meet the Parents. The association with Ben Stiller ruined him.
But I love that movie. It's hilarious.
Nope. You will get... No. I hate that movie. I hate everything Ben Stiller has ever done.
I'm not a huge Ben Stiller fan myself, but I do like that movie.
I watched that movie because a bunch of my peers said it was funny. I watched it. I immediately found new friends.
Hey, at least I'm not recommending the sequels to you.
True. Like, that would have been grounds for, like, the podcast ends.
Hey, you and I have never met, and we have only been working on this show for, like, what, a year? Something. I think it's been a year since I've joined you guys.
Give or take.
And I'm not stupid enough to recommend a movie to you starring Barbra Streisand.
In all fairness, like, I have seen the first two Meet the Parents. The first one voluntarily, the second not so much. I was donating plasma, and they put it on. And I would say
either you were either donating plasma or you had an ex-girlfriend who wanted to see it.
Nope, plasma. That's the way I saw Zoolander, and I was so close to yanking the needle out of my arm when Zoolander was on. Like, I can only take so much.
All right. Well, there's one. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
But yeah, that's the moment when De Niro's career seems to go south.
All right, I got one more negative review here. Laura Clifford from Reeling Reviews.
Ugh.
And you knew this was coming. The story of a young bride whose husband played the odds and is now trying to save her from his superstition-bound family isn't scary or funny. It's like watching someone else play a boring game of Clue with gore thrown in. Ladies and gentlemen, we have our woke review.
Ugh. There's always at least one or two. Okay, this is nothing, believe it or not, despite the setup, this is nothing like Clue. Clue's a mystery at its core. This is not a mystery at all.
We know who's trying to kill her. It's set up very early.
In the trailers. You go into this movie knowing what's up. And again, I really do have to mention, if you're trying to read into this that this is about the struggle of the impoverished or the inherent evil of the successful, you're trying too hard, guys. This is not that movie. It's not trying to say anything like that. It's just more... It's a much easier trope to have the financially successful people have made a deal with the devil than not. That's an easy way to do it. And I don't mean easy in a horribly negative way, but yeah, that's stupid. You're trying too hard to push your own agenda onto a movie review. Shame on you, you failed political blogger.
Not to mention, Grace is a kick-ass leading female character. This is a woman who gets shot, stabbed, sliced up. She's got her wedding dress torn up. And in the end, yeah, her brand new husband, this man she is just less than 24 hours ago sworn to love forever, tried to stab her through the heart.
There is that great scene when she escapes the house the first time and has just flashbacks to, again, some, 8 hours ago at that point, when she was getting married in the area she's now running through.
Yeah.
A lot can change very quickly.
No, I think Grace is an awesome character. Samara Weaving plays her really, really well. You never doubt for a second just how much pain she's in, how confused she is, how surreal this whole thing is. I mean, hell, there's even a great scene. She manages to steal the butler's car, and she presses the OnStar, because of course it's got an OnStar, and she's calling for help. And the family has predicted this and called in the car.
The butler immediately got on his phone and reported the car stolen.
And if you have ever driven an OnStar car, you know that it has an automatic or a remote shutdown system in case your car is ever stolen. So she finally thinks she's getting away, and this jackass guy on the opposite end of the OnStar shuts down the car.
In fairness, if you're in the call center when that woman calls in, I'm being hunted in a stolen car, can you send the cops? Like, what do you do if you're that guy? I'm making minimum wage here.
She does play it smart, though. Like I said, she does not really fall into a lot of the cliches. When she hears that he says the police are on their way, but turn off the car. She doesn't immediately get out of the car and start running in. She locks the door. She goes, okay, the police are on their way. The butler was unconscious back there. She should have run him over, really. I mean, I think the girlfriend and I saw this together. I'm like, why didn't she just run him over? But yeah, she just says, okay, the police are on their way. I'll wait here. She does play it smart. She does think on her toes pretty fast, and I did like that.
Yeah, she's not a helpless character. I mean, she starts out a little bit that way while coming to grips with her situation, but once she gets rolling, she does get rolling.
Mm-hmm.
Again, when I say I anticipate a sequel, it's not just because the movie's financially successful, but I would not hate seeing this character revisited in some capacity.
I'm just hoping to see Samara Weaving get some more acting roles. This girl is really good. She is top-notch. She has a subtlety that her acting uncle is never going to have.
Oh, that's not true. They just you have to find places when Hugo Weaving gets to act subtly. Most of the time, they ask him to.
Name one movie where Hugo Weaving acted subtly.
All right, hang on.
You're IMDbing this, aren't you?
I am bringing up his list. Yes, hang on.
I could hear you clicking on the keys in the background.
It's been too long since I've seen The Interview. Maybe that. I mean, yeah, once he does age... I mean, the supreme irony being that much of, Agent Smith is, in fact, subtle until it isn't. Which is the best way I can phrase that.
He chews on his words like they're freaking Fruit Stripe gum.
I'd actually give him V.
I actually haven't sat through V all the way just because I'm not an Alan Moore fanatic, but I heard so many people who are diehard fans of the book say the movie just was not just so horrible in the way they twisted it up a little bit.
That's ridiculous. That is deeply inaccurate. I think you only feel that way if you think Moore's work should be adapted either frame for frame or not at all. It's a different...
Yeah, I'm not
it's a very different
fanatic.
take on the story in a lot of respects, but I like it. I enjoy it a lot. I think he and Natalie Portman play off each other well. Watching oh crap, I can never remember which one it is. Yeah, I'm gonna look it up because otherwise it's gonna bother me. John Hurt, that's it. Watching John Hurt play the personification of Big Brother, a decade or so after he played the protagonist in 1984, is a little
My
bit
all-time favorite book.
is a lot of fun.
We miss you, John Hurt. You were amazing.
Yeah, you were awesome. So again, I think he can be. I think he's just not really asked to do so all that often. I have to see Hacksaw Ridge, actually.
You think it's kind of like Leonardo DiCaprio, where the more he chews the scenery, the better the performance is?
There's a little bit of that, too, I think, yeah. You know, okay, Leo, go over the top. Gotcha. Okay, Leo, that wasn't over the top enough. We both know you get... I imagine that's how Quentin Tarantino directs him. Like, okay, go further. Up, a little further. Okay, you've just been told your character can now only make spaghetti westerns. I need you to react like you've been told you and your dog both have cancer.
Yeah, I mentioned this in our Once Upon a Time in Hollywood review. No one is better at no one comes across better chewing the scenery than Leonardo DiCaprio.
I mean, the more I think about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the more I think that scene where he plays a scene-chewing actor on that Western television show is so great.
When he throws the little girl off of his lap and everything.
Yeah, because at that point, again, it's him playing an actor who's trying to go over the top and chew scenery the same way he would in real... Like, it's this glorious meta moment in that movie.
Pretty sure he's going to get another Oscar nomination for that movie.
You know what? I have no issue with him getting the nomination. Okay, Samara's done a lot of... She looks like she's done more television.
Her biggest claim to fame before this was The Babysitter, a Netflix horror movie.
Yeah, she does that. She was on a Showtime series for 2 years called Smilf. I don't know what that is.
Me neither.
She had a brief... Oh, yeah! She showed up in Ash vs. Evil Dead a couple of times.
Oh, yeah.
I forgot that. Yeah, she's got a couple of other things coming out. She's gonna be in Guns Akimbo, and she's in Bill and Ted Face the Music.
Oh, I can't wait to see that.
So yeah, she's gonna get more work, and good for her. All right, if that's it for that, I think we're about done here. So, what are you making? Where can we buy it?
Second time today I've had to plug this stuff. Honeysuckle Rose Creations, the intersection of geek and chic. We're just about to launch our big Labor Day sale. That's 15% off everything in both our Etsy and Handmade at Amazon stores. It's supposed to start around tomorrow. That's Friday the 30th, right? Yeah, Friday the 30th at noon. That is if I can actually get all these photos edited on time. God, give me strength. And as always, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Under Protest Twitter. Honeysuckle Rose Creations.
All right. The big thing I've got coming up is Saturday, starting at 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll have live coverage of the UFC's return to mainland China. That's going to be a card. It's going to make me wish I drank. There's a lot of those. The big thing will be... For the main card, Mark and I are going to provide alternate commentary. So I'm going to try... Because we did it for UFC 242? Or one just happened. 241. And I didn't get an aneurysm. My written coverage didn't suck. And I don't think the alternate commentary sucked. So we're going to try it again, and we're just going to see how that goes. So you can look in for that at the... MMA Zone of 411 Mania for the written coverage, and we'll be releasing the alternate commentary for the main card as soon as it's done, I guess. We record that rather than do it live. That also lets us pause the recording at points when I need to listen to stuff and Mark doesn't want to just talk for periods of it, so that'll be released after. Should be a lot of fun. If you're into the sport of MMA, tune in. This coming Tuesday, we have... Tuesday. I can't remember the schedule. There's something on Tuesday. I can't remember if it's Damn You Hollywood or if it's our TV party for the 3rd season of Hannibal, but I know that's coming up soon as well. So, tune into the Radulich Broadcasting Network. Like the Radulich Broadcasting Network Facebook page. That'll keep you up to date on the schedule. You can support us on Patreon if you're so inclined. We do have some exclusive stuff that goes up there. All of our Screaming Boy stuff. So right now that is the D23 reactions. That's up on Patreon. So a lot of our older stuff is up, including, again, my former show, Everyone Loves a Bad Guy. We have stuff coming up on there going forward, any of our old TV parties, a lot of our movie watch-alongs. And in fact, if you pledge to support us monthly, we're probably going to let you pick a movie once a month that a couple of us will sit down and watch and provide commentary for. So if you're interested, it's patreon.com/Radulich, and you can support us financially. We appreciate it if you choose to do so. If not, completely understand. And that'll be it for us. Again, we'll be back here next week with something. Movies, television, we've got it all. We've got comics, music if you're into the Metal Hammer of Doom. Sorry.
Are you hitting the wrong buttons again?
You don't want to hear me sneeze. I'm muting myself intentionally.
Fair enough.
Sorry about that. And, yeah, we'll be back then. Until then, on behalf of Alexis Haina, I'm Robert Winfree. Thank you all very much for tuning in. Stay safe out there, and please continue to be well, be safe, and behave.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans. 30% of Americans who are planning home improvements of $5,000 or more will pay for those renovations with a high-interest credit card. That may not be a great idea. A better idea may be to take cash out of your home with a Quicken Loans 30-year fixed-rate mortgage. The rate today on our 30-year fixed-rate mortgage is 4.125%. APR 4.22%. Call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
Rate subject to change. Pay 0.88% fee to receive this discounted rate. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
How do you escape an unstoppable evil when that evil is you? Step inside Jordan Peele's new original nightmare as Us comes to life at Universal's Halloween Horror Nights. Select nights September 6th through November 2nd. Experience Netflix's all-new Stranger Things, Dracula and the Wolfman, and more. Save up to $52 on select nights. Visit HalloweenHorrorNights.com. Online only. Restrictions apply. Not recommended for children under 13.